In my past life, just before the Chinese exam was collected, my deskmate suddenly knocked over the ink bottle, spilling the entire thing onto my essay answer area. She cried, saying it wasn't intentional, but because of that, my paper couldn't be read and I got a 0. Later, she relied on her high Chinese score to become a top scorer candidate. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment her hand reached for the ink bottle. I directly lifted my exam paper, looked at the ink-stained desk, and raised my hand. Teacher, I want to report something. 8 minutes before the exam was collected, I suddenly snapped my eyes open. The sound of pens scratching against paper filled my ears, the ceiling fan above turned slowly, the June heat stifling in the classroom, and even the air carried the smell of paper and sweat. I lowered my head and saw the Chinese exam answer sheet spread out on the desk. The last line of my essay just finished. In the name column at the top right was my name, Lin Jixia. In that instant, my blood ran cold, not because of the exam, but because I saw Su Jianning's hand. She was sitting to my right, just like in my past life, the white school uniform sleeves rolled up to her wrists, her fingertips lightly touching the bottle of black ink at the corner of the desk. That bottle of ink shouldn't have been in the college entrance exam room, but in my past life, she brought it in anyway. She said she was used to using a fountain pen, and the teacher didn't stop her when checking the stationery. She placed the ink on the corner of the desk. A few minutes before the papers were collected, she suddenly, accidentally, knocked it over, spilling the entire bottle of ink across the essay section of my answer sheet. I was terrified at the time. I cried and begged the teacher, saying my essay was still readable, that I wasn't cheating, that it wasn't my fault. But no one in the exam room dared to delay the collection. My answer sheet was taken away, the essay area covered in a large black stain. Later, the grading system couldn't recognize it, and my essay received a score of 0. That year, my Chinese score was over 50 points lower than usual. I couldn't get into the key university in the provincial capital. My father scolded me for messing up the exam and blaming others, saying it was shameful. My stepmother said there was no point in a girl studying so much, and that I might as well go out and work early. I was forced to give up retaking the exam and went to work at an electronics factory, 3 shifts, assembly line, dormitory living. As soon as my wages were paid, most of it was taken by my family, saying my younger brother Lin Hao needed money for tutoring, and Su Jianning, she became a top scorer candidate. The media interviewed her, and she wore a clean white dress, smiling gently. She said the most important thing in the college entrance exam was mindset, and that no unexpected situation should affect you. I heard that line for many years, until I was 29. After working overtime for 17 consecutive days, I collapsed beside the machine. Just before I closed my eyes, the black ink was still in my mind. When I opened my eyes again, I was back here, back to this moment when her hand reached for the water bottle. Su Jianning's elbow began to shift outward, her peripheral vision fixed on my answer sheet. In my past life, she knocked over the ink bottle so quickly that everyone thought it was an accident, but now I could see it clearly. She didn't slip. She first used her fingertips to push the ink bottle half an inch toward the edge of the table, then pulled her draft paper closer to herself, and finally bumped it with her elbow. I tightened my grip on the pen. The next second, the ink bottle tipped over. Splash, black liquid spilled out. I lifted my answer sheet almost simultaneously, holding it up to my chest along with the draft paper on the table. All the ink splashed onto the spot where my answer sheet had been, flowing down the tabletop and dripping onto the ground one drop at a time. The examination room instantly fell into chaos. Someone in the front row turned around, and the invigilator abruptly stood up. The expression on Su Jianning's face froze for a second, just 1 second, then her eyes reddened. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I really didn't mean to. She stood up, her voice trembling, tears falling rapidly. In my past life, I was deceived by her just like this. She cried like a victim, as if it was her whose college entrance exam was ruined. I didn't sit down, nor did I cry. I held my answer sheet high, my voice not loud but enough for the entire examination room to hear. Teacher, I want to report something. The proctor, Teacher Chen, frowned. Student, please stay quiet and focus on the exam. It's not over yet. I glanced at the clock on the wall. 7 minutes left. I immediately said, Teacher, my answer sheet hasn't been contaminated. Please confirm it on the spot. The ink was spilled on the desk, not on the answer sheet. He clearly made a pushing motion. I request that the exam room anomaly be recorded, the invigilator be notified, and the surveillance footage be preserved. Su Jianning's crying paused for a moment. The way she looked at me changed. It wasn't fear, but the panic of having her script suddenly interrupted. Teacher Chen walked over and first looked at my answer sheet. He visibly breathed a sigh of relief. The answer sheet isn't stained, I immediately said. Please include this in the exam record. The other proctor stood by the podium, looking a bit troubled. The exam is still going on. Don't disturb the other candidates. I nodded. I won't disturb anyone. I request to hold the answer sheet in my hand for now and submit it normally when the papers are collected. Please don't wipe the ink off the desk. Wait for the invigilator to confirm. After I finished speaking, I sat down quietly, holding my answer sheet with both hands, suspended above the desk. Black ink was still dripping down. Su Jianing sobbed softly. I really didn't mean to. I was just reaching for the eraser. I turned to look at her. If you were reaching for the eraser, why did you touch the ink bottle? She froze. I asked again. Your eraser is in the top left corner, and the ink bottle is in the bottom right. Why did your right hand push the ink bottle first? Su Jianing's lips turned pale. She hadn't expected me to ask so many details. In her past life, she only knew how to cry, but this time I didn't cry. The more she cried, the calmer I became. Teacher Chen immediately warned, no arguing inside the exam room. I withdrew my gaze and continued sitting upright, but I didn't put down my answer sheet. In the last 7 minutes, I didn't write a single word, not because I couldn't write anymore, but because I had already written everything I needed to. What I had to do was protect my paper. When the bell rang to collect the papers, I was the first to raise my answer sheet and hand it to Teacher Chen. Teacher, please double-check my answer sheet. There is no ink contamination in the essay section. Teacher Chen glanced at me, probably finding me troublesome, but still lowered his head to check. No contamination found. I immediately said, please make a note of it. His pen paused for a moment. I added, if there's any dispute later, this record can prove I submitted my paper normally and also protect the invigilator. The look in his eyes changed. The next moment, he wrote on the exam incident report, examinee Lin Jixia's answer sheet was not contaminated. Ink was spilled on the exam desk. Cause pending investigation. I breathed a sigh of relief, not because of victory, but because the first nail had been driven in. Su Jianing also handed in her paper. Her eyes were red, as if she had suffered a great injustice. After the exam papers were collected, the proctor, Teacher Zhao, arrived. I stood still, raising my hand steadily. Teacher, I request to take a photo of the ink stains on the desk for documentation. Teacher Zhao frowned. You're just a student. What do you know about this? I replied, I don't know. That's why I'm requesting to follow the procedure. In the exam hall, someone whispered, isn't Lin Jixia being too serious? Su Jianing is already crying like that. The answer sheet isn't damaged, is it? These voices existed in my past life too. Back then, they said Su Jianing didn't mean it. So why ruin her future? But no one ever asked who ruined mine. Teacher Zhao glanced at the desk. The ink was concentrated in one spot, precisely where my essay answer area had been. If I hadn't lifted the answer sheet, that black stain would have fallen onto my fate. He was silent for a few seconds, then took out his phone to take photos and asked Teacher Chen to add a record. Su Jianing sobbed, Teacher, I was just nervous. I didn't mean to harm her. I suddenly looked at her draft paper. She had it pressed under her arm, with a thin black line peeking out from the edge. Not a large ink spill, but a fine streak of ink in a strange position, as if she had touched ink with her finger beforehand. I took a step closer. Su Jianing immediately pulled the draft paper closer to her chest. I stared at her. What are you hiding? Her voice turned sharp. I'm not. Teacher Zhao looked at her. Take out your draft paper. Su Jianing's face turned completely pale. She refused to hand over the draft paper, one hand pressing down on it, tears still streaking her face, repeating only one sentence over and over, I'm scared. I watched her, sneering inwardly. Of course she was scared, because that draft paper likely bore traces of the ink she had tampered with beforehand. In my past life, no one checked. Everyone was too busy comforting her, too busy telling me to let it go, too busy writing off the incident as an accident. But this time, from the very first second the ink fell, I never gave her a chance to finish her act. Teacher Zhao's tone turned stern. This is the college entrance exam venue. The materials are not your personal belongings. Hand them over. Su Jianing looked up at Teacher Chen, clutching at straws. Teacher, I really didn't cheat. I interrupted her. No one said you cheated. What we're talking about now is whether you intentionally disrupted someone else's exam. She suddenly looked at me. I continued, if it wasn't intentional, then you should cooperate with the investigation even more. This sentence cut off her retreat. She could only slowly let go, and the draft paper was taken away by Teacher Zhao. I noticed a small black fingerprint in the lower right corner of the paper, with a slanted ink stain beside it, exactly where her finger had been when she pushed the ink bottle earlier. Teacher Zhao glanced at it but didn't jump to a conclusion. He simply placed the draft paper and the photo of the desk into the file folder. Su Jianning's crying grew louder. I didn't mean to, I really didn't mean to. We've been desk mates for a year. Why are you doing this to me? Hearing this, I almost laughed. When she was ruining my life, did she ever think about us being desk mates for a year? When she became a top candidate for the valedictorian title by using my essay, did she ever think about us being desk mates for a year? I didn't answer her, because now was not the time for an argument. Every word spoken now could become evidence. We were taken to the exam affairs office. The air conditioning was on in the room, but my back was still damp. The moment the college entrance exam ended should have been a time for everyone to breathe a sigh of relief, but I knew that my real test had only just begun. Teacher Chen was writing the exam record, and Teacher Zhao was organizing the photos. Su Jianning sat nearby, her head down, sobbing. She cried too skillfully. Every time someone looked at her, she cried a little harder. Every time no one looked at her, she quietly glanced up to observe my reaction. I sat on the chair without saying much, only answering when the teachers asked me questions. Where was the ink bottle originally? At the bottom right corner of Su Jianning's desk, near the gap between our two tables. Why were you able to lift the answer sheet in time? I saw her elbow knock into the ink bottle, and it was an instinctive reaction to protect the answer sheet. What makes you think she did it on purpose? She pushed the water bottle with her finger first, then took away her own draft paper, and finally knocked it over with her elbow. The actions were in a specific sequence. The exam room surveillance footage can confirm this. Teacher Zhao looked up at me. He probably didn't expect a student who had already finished the exam to explain things so clearly. Actually, someone who has died once knows best what to hold on to in chaos. Holding on to emotions is useless. Holding on to evidence is what matters. Soon, homeroom teacher Zhou arrived. As soon as he entered, he looked at Su Jianning, are you okay? The moment Su Jianning heard his voice, she immediately stood up abruptly. Teacher Zhou, I really didn't mean to. I was just too nervous. And then she insisted I did it on purpose to hurt her. I don't know what to do. Teacher Zhou frowned and turned to look at me. Lin Jixia, you're being too sensitive, aren't you? The college entrance exam is over, and your answer sheet is fine, isn't it? I looked up. My answer sheet is fine because I lifted it up, not because she didn't push it. Teacher Zhou's face darkened. Why are you speaking so harshly, child? I'm just stating the facts. The office fell silent. Teacher Zhou was clearly not used to seeing me like this. In his memory, I had always been the most worry-free student in the class, quiet, sensible, with good grades, and parents who never caused trouble. Whenever someone needed to give up a seat, hand over materials, or help others with problems, I was always the easiest to arrange. After the incident in my past life, he had also tried to persuade me like this. Lin Jixia, Jia Ning didn't mean it. Don't make a big deal out of this. The school will help you apply to explain the situation. Making a scene like this won't do you any good either. And what was the result? The school didn't help me. My 0 score on the essay became a fait accompli. Later, they even shifted the blame onto me, saying I hadn't protected the answer sheet in time, and that unexpected situations during the exam could only be judged according to the rules. In this life, I will no longer believe that teachers will handle things. I want to see with my own eyes every word written on the paper. Teacher Zhou called me into the hallway and lowered his voice. Lin Jixia, do you still want to graduate? I looked at him. I've already finished the exam. He paused, knowing exactly what I meant. Su Jianning's parents are already on their way. Her mother knows someone in the district education bureau. If this blows up, it won't be good for anyone. Who is it bad for? Teacher Zhou frowned. It's bad for the school, and it's bad for you too. I asked, what about Su Jianning? He remained silent. I smiled slightly. Teacher, you see, you also know this isn't good for her. Teacher Zhou's face darkened. Lin Jixia, don't get stuck in a dead end. Your answer sheet is fine. At most, it was just a minor incident in the exam room. Jianning usually has good grades too. She has no reason to harm you. That line was all too familiar. In my past life, everyone said the same thing. She has no reason to harm you. But people don't always harm others out of necessity. Sometimes it's out of jealousy, because she believes that if she can push you down, she can rise up. I took out my phone. After the college entrance exam ended, I had just retrieved it from the storage bag outside the exam venue. I pressed the record button and slipped it into my pocket, then said, "Teacher, I won't accept an oral mediation, I demand that the school issue a written explanation of the situation, preserve the exam room surveillance footage without overriding or editing. I will apply to the municipal admissions office for a review of the exam room anomaly." Teacher Zhou's expression changed. "Are you saying you don't trust the school? I'm protecting my college entrance exam scores. This will affect the class's honor." I looked at him and said word by word, "Class honor shouldn't be built on sacrificing my grades." Teacher Zhou was rendered speechless by me. Just then, hurried footsteps came from the end of the corridor. A middle-aged woman in a dress rushed over, and as soon as she saw Su Jianing, she hugged her and cried, "Jianing, my daughter, who bullied you?" Su Jianing threw herself into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. The woman suddenly looked up at me, her gaze sharp as a knife. "Are you Lin Jixia?" I didn't flinch. She pointed at me and cursed. "You're so young, how can you be so vicious? My daughter accidentally touched the ink, and you want to ruin her whole life?" I calmly asked. If my answer sheet had been ruined, who would compensate me for my entire life? She paused for a moment, then became even more aggressive. "But you're fine, aren't you?" I said. "So isn't your daughter fine too? It's just an investigation. What is she afraid of?" Su's mother's face stiffened. Su Jianing grabbed her arm tightly. In that moment, I saw it clearly. They weren't afraid of misunderstanding, they were afraid of the truth. By the time I got home, it was already dark. Half of the lights in the hallway were broken, flickering on and off. I stood at the door and heard my stepmother, Wang Xiumei, speaking from inside. "Don't you think she's out of her mind? The college entrance exam is over, and she's still causing trouble at school." My father, Lin Jiangwo, said in a low voice, "When she gets back, I'll deal with her." I paused for 2 seconds, gripping my schoolbag straps, then opened my phone to start recording. In my past life, I always thought family scandals shouldn't be aired in public, so I never repeated the harsh words my family said to me. They took advantage of that, time and again, backing me into a corner. This time, I won't cover for anyone. I pushed open the door. On the dining table were 3 dishes and a soup. My younger brother, Lin Hao, sat at the far end, eating a chicken leg while looking at his phone. As soon as Wang Xiumei saw me, she immediately slapped her chopsticks down on the table. "Oh, the great hero is back. I heard you reported your deskmate in the exam today." I didn't respond. I changed my shoes and put down my backpack. Lin Jiangwo suddenly slammed the table. "Lin Jixia, I'm asking you a question. Did you cause trouble at school?" I looked up. Someone deliberately splashed ink on me, and I applied for an investigation. "That's not called causing trouble," Wang Xiumei sneered. "On purpose. Do you have proof?" That little girl was crying so hard, and you still won't let it go. Are you just incapable of seeing others do well? Hearing those words from her mouth didn't surprise me at all. She has never been able to stand seeing me succeed. After my mother passed away, she married into the family, bringing along Lin Hao, who is 2 years younger than me. Lin Hao didn't like studying, and she said boys just mature later. When I came in first in exams, she said no matter how well a girl studies, she'll still end up getting married. When I wanted to buy reference books, she said the family had no money. Yet when Lin Hao wanted a pair of sneakers for 1,200 yuan, she said a boy couldn't dress too shabbily. Money was tight, and she was happiest after I failed the college entrance exam. On the surface, she comforted me, but behind my back, she immediately contacted relatives to find me a job at an electronics factory. It's more practical for a girl to start earning money early. Your little brother will be taking the college entrance exams someday, and as his older sister, you need to help out. I helped until I lost my own life. Looking at her now, I only feel a sense of unfamiliarity. It turns out some people didn't become bad later, they were always bad, but in my past life, I wanted a home so badly that I kept pretending not to see it. Lin Jiangwo pushed a piece of paper in front of me. "Go to school tomorrow and sign this." I looked down at it. The paper read, "I, Lin Jixia, confirm that the ink incident during the Chinese language college entrance exam was an unintentional mistake by my deskmate, which did not affect my exam results. I will no longer pursue this matter." I smiled. "Who wrote this?" "Lin Jiangwo. Your homeroom teacher sent this. He wants you to." "Are you forcing me to sign?" "What do you mean by forcing? This is for your own good." His voice grew louder. "Su Jianing's family has already called, saying that as long as you're willing to forgive, this matter will be settled. Don't blow this out of proportion. What good will that do you?" I looked at him, my grades, my college entrance exam. I want a thorough investigation, that's the benefit. Wang Xiumei rolled her eyes. How good can your grades really be? Do you actually think you can get into Tsinghua or Peking University? Don't make a big fuss and end up failing the exam yourself. It'll be a joke. Lin Hao let out a snort beside her. Sis, stop pretending. You're just jealous that Su Jianing is good at Chinese. Aren't you? I turned to look at him. You scored 29 on the monthly math exam, and you still know the word jealous. Lin Hao's face turned red. You, Wang Xiumei immediately came to his defense. Why are you picking on your little brother? He's still young. You're 16, not a child anymore. Lin Jiangwo suddenly stood up. Lin Jixia, you're getting more and more out of line. In my past life, when he yelled like that, I would lower my head, because I was afraid he would abandon me. Afraid there would be no place for me in this family. Afraid relatives would call me unfilial, afraid teachers would say I was immature, but after dying once, I understood. The more I feared, the more they trampled on me. I picked up the memorandum of understanding and tore it in half. Wang Xiumei screamed. What are you doing? I placed the torn paper back on the table. I'm not signing it. Lin Jiangwo raised his hand to hit me. I didn't dodge, only took my phone out of my pocket. The screen was lit, and the recording interface was running. Think carefully before you hit me. His hand stopped mid-air. I said calmly, the college entrance exam is over, and the irregularities at the exam hall are still under investigation. If I show up at the city admissions office with injuries on my face, what do you think they'll think? Lin Jiangwo's eyes widened. Are you threatening me? I'm protecting myself. Wang Xiumei's voice turned sharp. We're family talking, and you're recording. Do you have any conscience? I looked at her. When you forced me to sign the letter of understanding, did you think about conscience? The living room fell silent for a few seconds. Lin Hao muttered under his breath. It's just an exam, isn't it? I turned to him. Just an exam. Then in the future, when you take your high school and college entrance exams, can they be ruined by anyone just like that? He fell silent. Wang Xiumei's face turned pale with anger, and she suddenly let out a cold laugh. Fine, you've grown your wings, if you don't sign. Don't blame us for not caring about you when it's time to fill out your college application. My heart sank. In my past life, I was forced to work and never even made it to the college application stage, but I knew what they were capable of. My ID card, household registration booklet, admission ticket, and bank card were all at home. My father was my guardian, and if they wanted to control me, they had plenty of ways to do it. I put down my chopsticks. Thanks for the reminder. After saying that, I turned around and went into the house. My room was very small, converted from a balcony, cold in winter and hot in summer. In the desk drawer was my document pouch. I opened it. My ID card was still there, my admission ticket was still there, and my bank card was still there. Only the household register was missing. I didn't need to think twice to know. Wang Xiumei had already put it away in advance. She was always like this, saying it was for my own good while quietly blocking my way. I put my ID card and admission ticket into the inner pocket of my backpack, then backed up all the recordings to the cloud drive. After that, I took out an old photo. In it, my mother was holding me at age 5, standing under an osmanthus tree, with my grandmother's old courtyard behind us. In my past life, I rarely went back there, because Wang Xiumei said a married woman had no reason to visit, and Lin Jiangwo also said not to trouble my grandmother since she was old. Later, I found out that before my mother passed away, she had left me an education fund, not a huge amount, but enough to get me through college. But that money, in my past life, Wang Xiumei used to pay Lin Hao's private high school tuition and fees. In this life, I won't let them touch my things again. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in a long time. It rang for a while, and then an aged voice answered. Hello. My nose stung, but I held back the tears. Grandma, it's me, Lin Jixia. There was a brief silence on the other end, and then Grandma's voice trembled slightly. You finally called your grandma. I gripped my phone tightly. Grandma, I've finished the college entrance exam. Good, as long as you finished well. Are your parents treating you well? I looked at the sounds of arguing coming from the dinner table outside the door and said softly, not really. Grandma's breath caught. I continued, Grandma, I want to ask you something. Did Mom leave me a sum of money for my education? Before, there was a long silence on the other end of the line, so long that I thought she wouldn't answer. Finally, Grandma sighed. Yes, the passbook is with me. Tears welled up in my eyes, not from grievance, but from relief. In this life, I had finally grasped a path of my own before they could completely lock me down. The next morning, I went to school. The campus was quiet after the college entrance exam, and a red banner hung under the teaching building, wishing all senior high school students success in the exams. In my past life, every time I saw those words, they stung, because my name had almost been erased from the honor roll by a bottle of ink. This time, I looked up at it once and walked straight into the academic affairs office. Teacher Zhou was in his office. When he saw me, his face immediately darkened. Lin Jixia, why are you here again? I placed the materials I had printed last night on his desk. Teacher Zhou, I need the school to stamp this explanation of the exam room anomaly and submit it to the municipal admissions office. He glanced through it, his brows furrowing tighter. You actually wrote an application? Who taught you to do that? The Legal Aid Center website has a template. That's the truth. I barely slept last night. I looked up what ordinary test takers should do when encountering irregularities at the exam site, checked the score review process, and researched how to preserve written evidence. I used to think these things were far from me, but now I know, rules don't automatically work in favor of those who are well-behaved. If you don't reach out, it assumes you've accepted it. Teacher Zhou pushed the application back. The school will handle it. You don't need to make extra trouble for yourself. I didn't take it. May I ask how the school plans to handle it? Is there a written reference number? Has it been submitted? Is there a signature from the responsible teacher? His face stiffened. You're just a student, why do you need to ask so many questions? Because this is my college entrance exam. Several teachers nearby looked over. Teacher Zhou suppressed his anger. Lin Jixia, you're making things very difficult for the teachers. Just because it's difficult for the teachers doesn't mean I should give up my rights. He finally couldn't hold back. There's nothing wrong with your answer sheet. Why are you so fixated on Su Jianing? I looked at him. Because she wants me to have a problem. The office fell silent instantly. Teacher Zhou stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. After a moment, he picked up his phone. I'll call Director Lu. 10 minutes later, Lu Guodong, the dean of students, walked in. He was in his 40s, with slick back hair, and was most fond of saying, "Be grateful to the school." During the flag-raising ceremony, in my past life, he had also sat before me like this and said, Lin Jixia, what's done is done, there's no point dwelling on it, you have to look forward. You can't ruin a classmate's future over one accident. Back then, I cried until my eyes were swollen, thinking he was looking out for me. It wasn't until later, when I heard from classmates, that the school had suppressed the whole matter to avoid affecting the evaluation of the exam site involved in the accident. Director Lu closed the application after reading it and said directly, I can't stamp it. Reason, the school hasn't finished its investigation yet, so I can't stamp your one-sided materials. Then please provide me with a written explanation for not stamping it. He didn't look up. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. Lin Jixia, do you know what you look like right now? Like a student corrupted by all that nonsense on the internet. Is the school harming you? Are the teachers harming you? I wasn't led astray by him. If the school isn't harming me, then handle it according to procedure. He slammed the table. The procedure is not up to you? I nodded. Then I'll submit my personal application directly to the municipal admissions office. Director Lu's face changed. You dare? I gathered my materials back. I've already written it. He stood up, lowering his voice. Lin Jixia, you need to think clearly. If this blows up, it will affect the school, and yourself. You still have to fill out your college applications, and you still need your records. Threats, again threats. In my past life, I was intimidated by this kind of talk. Records, diplomas, homeroom teacher evaluations, school opinions, each one like a rope. But this time I know, as long as I stay clear-headed, even ropes can become evidence. I pulled out my phone, pressed the play button on the recording, and the sound of Director Lu's voice came through. You still have to fill out your college applications, and you still need your records. Everyone in the office was stunned. Director Lu's face turned ashen. You recorded this? Yes, because what you just said put pressure on me. I need to prove whether I was obstructed during my application. Teacher Zhou shouted. Lin Jixia, I put away my phone. I don't know how to edit or upload, unless someone continues to prevent me from applying according to the law. With that, I turned and walked away with the documents in hand. Behind me, Director Lu shouted in frustration, Come back. I did not look back. After leaving school, I headed straight to the print shop. I made 3 copies of my application, one to send to the municipal admissions office, one to the district education examination center, and one to keep for myself. The print shop owner, a woman in her 40s, couldn't help but ask as she watched me organize the documents one by one, "Young lady, are you in some trouble?" I smiled and said, "Yeah, there's a bit of an issue with the college entrance exam." She sighed, "Then you'd better keep the evidence safe." That was a simple remark, but it made my eyes well up. Sometimes, a stranger's words to keep the evidence feel more like a lifeline than a family member's plea to stop making a fuss. I went to the post office to send a registered letter, and the staff handed me the receipt, that small slip of paper I tucked into the innermost part of my file folder. As I walked out of the post office, my phone kept vibrating. When I opened it, the class group chat had already exploded. Su Jianing had posted a long message. She said she was so nervous during the college entrance exam that her hands shook and she accidentally knocked over the ink. She claimed my answer sheet wasn't contaminated, yet I immediately accused her of deliberately harming me. She said she kept crying after the exam, feeling that maybe she didn't deserve to live. The last line was, "I just want to wait for my results quietly, without being maliciously speculated about anymore." Below were dozens of replies. "Hugs to our class beauty. Lin Jixia is way too much. She usually seems so honest, didn't expect her to be this shady, just because she gets good grades, she can bully people." I stared at the screen for a long time, then I didn't reply. I started taking screenshots, 1, 2, 3, every piece of slander, every insult, every incitement. I saved them all. Su Jianing wanted to use tears to paint herself as a victim, but she forgot. Every word on the internet leaves a trace. Messages in the class group chat scrolled by at lightning speed. I muted my phone, sat on the stairs in my residential complex, and took screenshots one by one. It's not that I wasn't angry. Of course I was, seeing those who usually borrow my notes, ask me questions, and have me help revise their essays now lining up to call me calculating, a sore loser, someone who ruins others' futures. My fingers were trembling, but I knew, the more critical the moment, the less I should jump into the argument. Winning a fight with words is useless, winning with evidence is what counts. Su Jianing's little essay was clever. She didn't directly attack me, only said she was scared, guilty, and didn't know why kindness gets misunderstood. She wrote every sentence with fragility, so that those who spoke up for her would automatically finish the dirty work. Some said, "Someone like Lin Jixia is just good at grades but has a bad character." Others said, "No wonder she's always been unsociable," and someone even sent a voice message, loud and clear. The answer sheet wasn't even damaged, and she still reported it. "She's really crazy." I saved everything, then I opened Su Jianing's moments. She had posted a black and white photo of a hand stained with ink, captioned, "Sometimes, explanations are useless too." Below it, a row of likes. I zoomed in on the photo and squinted. That hand indeed had ink stains, but they weren't caused by splashing. The ink was on the pads of the index and middle fingers, as if they had actively touched the bottle's rim. I immediately took a screenshot. This alone might not prove anything, but it could corroborate the fingerprints on the draft paper. That's how a chain of evidence works. If one thread isn't enough, weave it into a net. In the afternoon, Teacher Zhou called me. I answered and started recording. "Lin Jixia, did you see the message in the group?" "I did." "Don't blame your classmates either, they just don't know the full story." "So, is the school planning to clarify things?" "Yes, but since the investigation isn't over yet, the school can't just say anything." "Then what about Su Jianing posting a long article to get people to attack me? Is the school going to do anything about that?" She was also emotionally overwhelmed. I laughed. She can have an emotional breakdown and post rumors, but when I defend myself, I'm the one causing trouble. "Teacher Zhou, you're quite skilled at tilting the scales in a certain direction." There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line. "Lin Jixia, don't be so sarcastic. I'm doing this for your own good. The most important thing for you right now is to wait for your results, not to waste your energy on these matters." "I agree, so please ask Su Jianing to delete the false content. She didn't even call you out by name. She wrote about the college entrance exam Chinese test, her deskmate, ink, and the report. In the whole class, there was only this one thing, and everyone knew it was me. It already constitutes a direct reference." Teacher Zhou's voice turned cold. "Do you have to make a big deal out of every sentence? You weren't like this before." I looked at the peeling cracks on the hallway wall and said softly, "Teacher, once someone has been hurt, they change." The person on the other end of the line didn't understand. I didn't need him to. After hanging up, I also backed up the recording of the call. At 7 p.m., the door was pounded with a thunderous noise. Wang Shumei poked her head out from the kitchen. "Who is it?" A sharp female voice came from outside. Lin Jixia, come out. I opened the door and saw Wang Xiumei's eyes light up. Not with panic, but with excitement. She was eager for someone to teach me a lesson. Lin Jiangwo also stood up from the sofa, his face darkening. You've caused trouble again. Ignoring him, I grabbed my phone and walked to the door. As soon as I opened it, Sue's mother rushed in, followed by two middle-aged women who looked like relatives. The moment she saw me, her eyes turned red. So you're the Lin Jixia who made my daughter cry all day. The neighbors, hearing the commotion, opened their doors one after another. Wang Xiumei didn't stop me. Instead, she deliberately opened the door wider. She wanted to humiliate me. Standing inside the door, I started recording. Auntie, we can talk, but please don't barge into my home. Sue's mother sneered. You're recording, at such a young age, you're so calculating. No wonder you dared to slander your deskmate during the exam. I said, say that again. Slander what? She pointed at my nose and said, you're accusing my daughter of deliberately harming you. My daughter has never even stepped on an ant since she was little. How could she harm you? On the contrary, you, usually jealous of her good grades in Chinese, you took the exam as an opportunity to make a big deal out of it and ruin her mindset. The neighbors watching began to murmur, the college entrance exam, that's serious. This girl looks pretty calm. Could it be a conflict between classmates? Sue's mother raised her voice even more. Today, you must apologize to my daughter, and you have to write a written statement admitting that you misunderstood her. In my past life, I was most afraid of scenes like this, afraid of the neighbors' gossip, afraid of relatives saying I had no upbringing, but now, I only find it amusing, the same tricks, and they never get tired of using them. I looked at Lin Jiangwo. He said with a grim face, Lin Jixia, apologize. Do you even know what happened? What more is there to know? The other kids' parents have already come to our door, and you still think this isn't embarrassing enough, so, just because someone makes a big fuss, it's automatically my fault, Lin Jiangwo said angrily. I am your father. I nodded. That's why I'm asking you, do you know the truth? He was silenced by my words. Wang Xiumei immediately interjected, Jixia, stop being stubborn. Apologizing to your aunt won't cost you a thing. If you make a big deal out of this, what if it affects your admission later? I turned to look at her. If I sign the letter of understanding now, that's what might actually affect the investigation. When Sue's mother heard the word, investigation, her expression changed. She lunged forward to grab my phone. How dare you record this? I stepped back half a step and said loudly, don't touch me. Her hand froze in midair. I directly dialed the police. Hello, I'd like to report an incident. Someone has brought people to block my doorstep, forcing me to write a letter of understanding regarding the college entrance exam incident, and they are trying to snatch my phone. Sue's mother was stunned, and Wang Xiumei was also stunned. Lin Jiangwo rushed over. Lin Jixia, you're crazy. I looked at him. You were also at the scene just now. You can choose to keep pressuring me, or you can choose to be a witness. His face was ashen. A dozen minutes later, the police arrived. Sue's mother immediately changed her tune. Officer, it's a misunderstanding, all a misunderstanding. I was just worried about my child. I handed over the video and audio recordings. She accused me of slandering her daughter, forced me to apologize and write a guarantee, and even tried to snatch my phone. The college entrance exam incident is currently under review for appeal, and I believe her actions are interfering with my lawful rights. The officer watched several clips of the video, his expression turning serious. Everyone, come to the station to make a statement. Sue's mother grew anxious. Do we really have to go to the police station over such a trivial matter? I looked at her. Auntie, didn't you say I was slandering your daughter? Well, that's perfect. Let's clear things up. At that moment, for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes as she looked at me. The lights in the police station were very bright. Sue's mother sat across from me. Her anger had already turned into grievance. She lowered her head and wiped her tears, saying she was just overly protective of her daughter. My daughter has been crying ever since the exam, saying her deskmate misunderstood her, and she couldn't even eat. As her mother, it broke my heart to see her like that, so I just wanted to talk to Lin to sort things out. She recited this spiel even more fluently than Su Jiaming. Truly a mother and daughter. The officer asked me, what do you have to say? I slid my phone over. I recorded the whole thing. She didn't come to clear things up. She came to force me to apologize and write a letter of assurance. As the officer watched the footage, Sue's mother's face grew increasingly grim, especially when she pointed at me and yelled, vicious and slanderous. Her voice was crystal clear. the officer frowned. Disputes related to the college entrance exam shouldn't be handled through private pressure. If you have issues, go through the school or the admissions office. Sue's mother immediately nodded. Yes, we won't go again, I said. I want this filed. Sue's mother suddenly looked up. What else do you want? I looked at her. I don't want anything. I just want to keep a record. If you continue to harass me afterward or post false information online, this record will prove that you once pressured me in person. Sue's mother's expression finally cracked. You're just a young girl, how can you be so ruthless? I said calmly. I've just learned to protect myself. Lin Jiangwo sat nearby, his face dark and grim the whole time. He probably felt humiliated. His own daughter had dragged the matter all the way to the police station, making him, as her father, lose face. After finishing the record and stepping out, his first words were, Lin Jixia, are you satisfied now? I looked at the steps outside the police station. Not bad. He pointed at me, furious. Do you still have any regard for this family now? Yes, there is. That's why I called the police, to stop you from arguing at the doorstep and disturbing the neighbors. For a moment, he was speechless. Wang Xiumei didn't come to the police station. She was at home with Lin Hao, eating fruit, and when she saw us return, she said sarcastically, the big celebrity is back, quite impressive. Calling the police, I went straight into the room and locked the door from inside. From outside came her scolding. What are you locking the door for? Afraid someone might steal your stuff? I sat at my desk without responding. I turned on my computer and created a new folder named College Entrance Exam Incident Evidence. Inside, I divided it into 5 categories: exam room records, school communication, family pressure, Sue family harassment, and online defamation. I organized all the recordings, screenshots, and videos in chronological order. After finishing this, it was already 1 in the morning. The window was quiet, but I wasn't sleepy at all. At this time in my past life, I should have been crying that my scores might be ruined, crying that my teacher wouldn't help me, crying that my father scolded me, crying that Su Jianing said it wasn't intentional. But now, my heart felt cold, because I finally understood, grievances don't automatically turn into justice. You have to number them, back them up, and submit them. On the 3rd day, I received a call from the municipal admissions office. The person on the other end was a female teacher surnamed Zheng. She said she had received my registered mail application and requested that I submit copies of my ID card, admission ticket, and a written statement. I immediately asked, has my application been officially accepted? Teacher Zheng said, we are currently in the preliminary review stage of the materials. Since you reported an anomaly in the college entrance examination room, we will require the test center school to submit relevant records. I gripped my phone tightly, including the surveillance footage. If necessary, it will be retrieved. I request that it be retrieved, because the surveillance footage can prove the change in the ink bottle's position and the actions before and after the spill. Teacher Zheng paused for a moment. Can you describe it in detail? I immediately recounted the time, seat, and sequence of actions. By the end, her tone turned serious. Lin, write this down in the supplementary materials. Don't include any emotional judgments, just state the facts you observed. I said, okay. She added, try not to argue online during this time, just keep the evidence. I whispered, I know. After hanging up, for the first time, I felt like I wasn't fighting the darkness alone. In the afternoon, I went to the copy shop to get the materials reprinted. As soon as I left the neighborhood, I saw Su Jianing standing by the roadside. She was wearing a white dress, her eyes red. If I didn't know the truth, anyone who saw her would feel sorry for her. She walked up to me. Lin Jixia, can we talk? I glanced around. There was a surveillance camera on the roadside. All right, go ahead. She bit her lip. Do you have to be like this? Like what? Pushing me to the edge. I almost laughed out loud. Su Jianing, when you splashed ink on my essay answer area, did you leave me any way out? Her tears welled up again. I told you, I didn't mean to. Then wait for the investigation. She suddenly lowered her voice. Do you think checking the surveillance footage will help? I just knocked over the bottle. Who can prove I did it on purpose? I looked at her. Finally, a hint of sincerity slipped into my words. It's not that I don't have it, it's that you can't prove it. I opened the voice recording app on my phone, screen facing down, so she couldn't see it. I deliberately said, so, you admit you touched the bottle. She froze for a moment. I just slipped. Then why did you push the bottle to the edge of the table before you slipped? Her expression changed. You saw wrong. What about the ink marks on the draft paper that was splashed? Your WeChat Moments photo. the ink is on your fingertip, not splashed. Su Jianing finally stopped crying. She stared at me, her gaze cold and dark. Lin Jixia, do you think you've won just by keeping the answer sheet? The results aren't out yet. Is your family on your side? Are the teachers on your side? Are your classmates on your side? I looked at her and suddenly understood why she dared to do this in my past life. Because she knew my situation all too well. No one was protecting me, so she thought she could harm me without paying any price. I said softly, it doesn't matter if they're on my side or not. The evidence is on my side, and that's enough. Her face turned completely ashen. Just then, my phone vibrated. The recording had been saved automatically. I glanced down at the file name, June 10th, 10:27 a.m., Su Jianing's roadside conversation. Great, another piece of the puzzle has fallen into place. The municipal admissions office notified me to review the materials, which was 3 days later. The location was the second-floor reception room of the Municipal Education Examination Center. When I arrived, Su Jianing and her mother were already there. Su Jianing was dressed plainly, her face pale, as if she hadn't slept well for days. Her mother sat beside her and, upon seeing me, snorted coldly. Some people just won't give up until they hit a dead end. I ignored her and found a seat as far away from them as possible. Teacher Zhou and Director Liu also arrived. As soon as Director Liu entered, he shook hands with the staff and said politely with a smile, "Sorry for the trouble. It's just a minor misunderstanding between students, and we've even had to trouble the city authorities." Teacher Zhang looked up at him and said, "Whether it's a minor misunderstanding or not, we'll see after reviewing the materials." Director Liu's smile tightened. I felt a surge of satisfaction, not because someone was standing up for me, but because the oppressive authority that worked so well within the school walls had finally lost its power outside. At the front of the reception room was a computer. Teacher Zhang opened a folder and said, "Today, we will mainly verify the records of exam irregularities, surveillance footage, and statements from both sides. Since this involves the fairness of the college entrance exam, the entire process will be fully documented." Su's mother immediately spoke up, "Our Ning is innocent, she has always had good grades. There's no reason for her to do something like this." Teacher Zhang glanced at her. "Please do not interrupt." Su's mother fell silent. The first piece of material was the exam supervision record. Teacher Chen wrote objectively, "About 8 minutes before the papers were collected, the ink bottle on examinee Su's desk tipped over, spilling ink onto the desk of the neighboring examinee, Lin. Lin's answer sheet was not contaminated. Lin immediately submitted a request for an exam anomaly record. When I saw the words, "was not contaminated," my fingers relaxed slightly. These 2 words had not existed in my previous life, in my past life. The writing section of my exam paper was swallowed by ink, and everyone said, what a pity, are the 2 most useless words in the world." The second piece was a photo of the desk. The ink's landing point was very clear. The black liquid was concentrated in the middle right area of my desk, exactly covering the area where the writing answer sheet had originally been placed. Teacher Zhang asked, "Student Lin, are you sure your answer sheet was originally placed in this position?" I nodded, confirmed. Su's mother immediately said, "Then didn't she lift up the answer sheet? That means no harm was done." Teacher Zhang calmly said, "The fact that no final contamination occurred doesn't mean the behavior doesn't need to be investigated." Su's mother fell silent again. Then came the surveillance footage. There was no sound, and the camera angle was fixed at the upper right corner of the classroom. Everyone stared at the screen. I saw myself in the video, head down, finishing the essay, then putting down the pen. Su Jianing sat to my right. She first lowered her head and glanced at me. She thought the movement was subtle, but from the high-angle surveillance, the direction of her gaze was very clear. Next, her right hand moved away from the eraser area and slowly reached the ink bottle. The first time it played, the movement wasn't obvious. Director Liu immediately said, "This just looks like normal stationary arrangement." I didn't say anything. Teacher Zhang pressed pause and slowed the footage to a quarter of its original speed. This time, everyone saw it clearly. Su Jianing's index finger first pressed against the bottom of the ink bottle, nudging it slightly toward the edge of the desk. Then she paused for half a second, turned her head to look at me. Immediately after, she pulled her draft paper toward her left hand. Finally, she knocked the ink bottle over with her elbow, and at almost the same moment, I lifted my answer sheet in the video, and black ink spilled onto the desk. The conference room fell into dead silence. All color drained from Su's mother's face. Su Jianing bit her lip hard, but this time the tears didn't fall. Even Teacher Zhou's expression changed. Before, He could call me sensitive or accuse me of causing trouble, but the slowed-down footage was right there for everyone to see. Teacher Zheng asked, Su Jianing, explain yourself. Why did you push the ink bottle first? Su Jianing's voice was barely audible. I didn't push it, I just touched it. Then why did you take away your own draft paper after touching it? I'm nervous, I don't know why. Why is the ink bottle placed between the two desks, near Lin's answer sheet? I'm used to putting it there. I spoke up. She doesn't usually use an ink bottle. Everyone looked at me. I continued. We sat at the same desk for a year. Su Jianing usually uses gel pens for exams and never uses a fountain pen. On the day of the Chinese language college entrance exam, she suddenly brought an ink bottle into the exam room and placed it on the side near my desk. I don't think this is a habit. Su Jianing suddenly lifted her head. You're lying. I usually use a fountain pen too, I said. Any classmate or teacher can testify. There's no fountain pen in your pencil case on a regular day. Su's mother immediately shouted, what does using a fountain pen or not prove? Can't she use it for the college entrance exam if she wants to? Teacher Zheng took notes. This would be verified later. Director Liu then spoke up. From the surveillance footage, there was indeed a contact motion. But to call it intentional, we might need more solid evidence. The college entrance exam is highly stressful, and it's normal for students to make unusual movements when nervous. I looked at him. He was still protecting the school's reputation, the exam site's responsibility, and their so-called no incident. I took out my phone. I have additional materials. Teacher Zheng looked at me. What evidence? Su Jianing's WeChat Moments photo posted after the incident. The ink stains were concentrated on her fingertips. Also, a recording of her conversation with me by the roadside. In the recording, she said, I pressed play. Su Jianing's voice came through the phone. Do you think checking the surveillance footage will help? I only touched the bottle. Who can prove I did it on purpose? The conference room grew even quieter. Su Jianing suddenly stood up. You recorded it. You actually recorded it. I looked at her. When you came to read me, you didn't tell me I couldn't protect myself. Her eyes were red. You set me up. I smiled. Su Jianing, were the words in the recording made up by me for you? She was speechless. Teacher Zheng had the staff copy the recording. Director Liu's face turned completely sour. He probably finally realized this matter couldn't be suppressed, but he still said, the recording only proves she was emotionally agitated, not that she premeditated anything. I nodded. So I'm still looking for evidence of premeditation, Su's mother sneered. Go ahead and look. Let's see what else you can fabricate. I looked at her without saying a word. Of course I would keep looking, because in my past life, I later heard about something. The day before Su Jianing's college entrance exam, she had gone to a small stationery store near the exam site to buy ink. No one thought it was strange at the time. Now, that would be the next stone to crush her. The stationery store next to the exam center was very small, with a faded sign hanging at the entrance. The glass counter was filled with gel pens, erasers, and correction tape. When I pushed the door open, the owner was organizing the shelves. She looked up at me and asked, what do you need? I took out my phone and opened the photo of the hand from Su Jianing's Moments. Ma'am, I'd like to ask, on the day before the college entrance exam for Chinese, did you sell this kind of ink? The owner leaned in for a closer look. Black fountain pen ink. Yes, we did. These days, more people are buying pens for the exams, but fewer are buying ink. My heartbeat quickened. Do you remember who bought it? The boss became wary. Why are you asking about this? I didn't hide it. There was an ink spill incident in the college entrance exam room, and I was the affected candidate. The city admissions office is investigating. I want to confirm some leads. If it's inconvenient for you to tell me, I can ask the city admissions office to contact you. Upon hearing the city admissions office, the boss's expression turned a bit more serious. Is the incident the one at the No. 3 high school exam site? I nodded. You're the girl who almost got the test paper splashed on. I was taken aback. You know about that? The boss sighed. Word has spread. Some say you wronged a classmate. Others say that girl isn't as simple as she seems. I didn't respond to that. Ma'am, do you remember what the person who bought the ink looked like? The boss thought for a moment. It was a girl, thin and fair-skinned, wearing a mask. When she bought it, I even said that gel pens are safer for exams and that bringing a water bottle in would be troublesome. She said she was used to using a fountain pen. What about the payment method? Scanned a QR code. The boss opened the payment records and scrolled to the afternoon before the college entrance exam. A 12 yuan record popped up. The profile picture was a white kitten. I recognize it. It's Sue Jennings' WeChat profile picture. My fingers slowly tightened. The boss also noticed my reaction. Is it her? I didn't say it directly, only asked, Auntie, could you send me a screenshot of this payment record, or if the municipal admissions office contacts you, would you be willing to cooperate and explain? The boss nodded. I'm willing. When it comes to the college entrance exam, there's no room for foul play. I thanked her. As I walked out of the stationery store, the sun stung my eyes. In my past life, this piece of evidence had never surfaced, not because it didn't exist, but because no one had looked for it on my behalf. So the truth is often not that hard to find. It's just that the victim has already been beaten to the point of having no strength left to walk to the next street. I sent the clue to Teacher Zheng. She replied quickly, received, will verify. Please do not disclose it on your own. I replied, understood. Of course, I wouldn't disclose it. Going public now would only give Sue Jennings a chance to fabricate a story in advance. I would wait for the official verification. Wait until she had told all her lies, and then shut the door. 3 days later, the school notified me to attend a mediation meeting. The venue was still that same conference room. This time, the atmosphere was noticeably different. Director Liu wasn't smiling, and Teacher Zhou barely spoke. Sue Jennings sat next to her mother, her eyes swollen. As soon as Sue's mother saw me, she sneered, little girl, you're quite something. Digging up my daughter's payment records, I looked at her. It's not flipping through, it's providing leads. You're violating my privacy. The payment records were voluntarily provided by the store owner to cooperate with the city admissions office's investigation. I did not obtain complete personal information. Sue's mother was left speechless. Teacher Zheng arrived and got straight to the point. After verification, student Sue purchased a bottle of black fountain pen ink at a stationery store near the exam site on the afternoon before the Chinese language exam of the college entrance examination. The ink is identical in appearance to the ink spilled at the exam venue. Please explain the purpose of the purchase. Sue Jennings lowered her head. I wanted to use a fountain pen to write the essay. Teacher Zheng asked. The exam answer sheet clearly requires the use of a 0.5 mm black gel pen. Why did you buy fountain pen ink? Sue Jennings' face turned pale. Her mother immediately said, she was nervous. Can't she have made a mistake? It's her first time taking the college entrance exam. Who wouldn't be nervous? I was almost amused by that remark. First time taking the college entrance exam, as if I were taking it for the second time. Strictly speaking, I suppose I am, but that's no excuse for her to shift the blame. Teacher Zheng continued, since it couldn't be used for answering questions, why did you bring it into the exam room? Sue Jennings' voice grew even softer. I put it in my pencil case, and forgot to take it out. I spoke up. During the entry check, the ink bottle was placed separately in a transparent stationery pouch, not forgotten in a pencil case. The surveillance footage also shows that before the exam started, she took the ink bottle out of the stationery pouch and placed it on the right side of her desk. Teacher Zheng asked the staff to pull up the video from before the exam. Sure enough, in the video, Sue Jennings took out the ink bottle, first placed it in the middle of her own desk, then slowly moved it to the side closer to my desk. The movement was subtle, but very clear. Sue Jennings' lips began to tremble. She was finally panicking. I didn't mean to harm her. I stared at her. She almost let it slip, but Sue's mother grabbed her hand tightly. You just what? You were just nervous. Don't talk nonsense. Sue Jennings swallowed her words and began to cry. Again, I suddenly felt exhausted. In my past life, I was drowned by tears like these, but this time, tears were useless. Teacher Zheng closed the materials. The current evidence shows Sue purchased unnecessary ink before the exam, brought it into the examination room, and moved the ink bottle before the papers were collected, causing the ink to spill onto the area where the neighboring student's answer sheet was originally placed. This behavior is suspected of disrupting exam order and affecting the fairness of others' exams. The matter will be reported and handled according to procedure. Sue's mother suddenly stood up. You can't decide this. My daughter's grades are so good. If she gets punished, her whole life will be ruined. Teacher Zheng looked at her. If Lin hadn't lifted her answer sheet in time, someone else's life would have been ruined too. Sue's mother was speechless. I looked at Sue Jennings. She had finally stopped crying. She stared at me, her eyes full of hatred. Lin Jixia, are you satisfied now? I said. Not yet. She was stunned. I said calmly. I won't be satisfied until the final outcome is announced. Her face twisted bit by bit. At that moment, the mask of the gentle deskmate finally cracked. On the day the results were announced, the atmosphere at home was more tense than during the new year, not because of my anxiety, but because of their own calculations. At 8 a.m., Lin Jiangwo was already sitting in front of the computer, urging me to log in and check my scores. Wang Xiumei brought over a plate of fruit, forcing a fake smile. Ji Xia, don't be nervous, no matter what you score, the family supports you. I glanced at her. Just a few days ago, she said studying was useless for girls, and now she's talking about support. How quickly things change. Lin Hao sat on the sofa playing games without looking up. If you do well on the exam, Dad said he'll get me a new computer. If I do well, why would you get a new computer? He said matter-of-factly. You won't need it for college anyway, the family's just happy to have some money. I smiled and said nothing. At exactly 8 o'clock, the score-checking system opened. I entered my admission ticket number and password. The page froze twice, and on the third refresh, the results appeared. Chinese 136, Math 1, English 143, Science Comprehensive 276, total 696, far above the provincial key university cutoff. The living room fell silent. Lin Jiangwo stared at the screen, his lips moving. 696. Wang Xiumei nearly dropped the fruit plate in her hands. Lin Hao finally looked up. That high? I looked at the Chinese language section, and my eyes felt a little hot. 136. In my past life, I only scored over 80 in this subject, with a 0 on the essay like a black cloth covering all my efforts. In this life, I tore it open. Lin Jiangwo burst into laughter. Great, I knew my daughter had it in her, he said as he moved to pat my shoulder, but I sidestepped. His hand missed, and his expression stiffened for a moment. Wang Xiumei quickly caught on. Ji Xia really did us proud. With this score, you're definitely in for the local normal university. Being a teacher is great. Close to home, stable job, and you can take care of your little brother. I closed the score-checking page. I'm not applying to the local normal university. Wang Xiumei's smile froze. Not applying for a normal university? Then what do you want to apply for? Provincial Capital University of Political Science and Law, majoring in law. Lin Jiangwo frowned. Law? What's that for? Being a lawyer is too tiring for a girl. A normal university is much better, stable income regardless of circumstances, and you can come home. I said, I'm not going to college just to make it easier to come home. The atmosphere in the living room instantly turned cold. The pride Lin Jiangwo had just felt was pierced by my words, and his face darkened. Now that you've done well in your exams, you look down on your family. No, then listen to your family's arrangements. In my past life, I didn't have the right to fill out my college application, and in this life, they still want to force my life back into their plans. The only difference is the excuse. Before, it was that I did poorly and didn't deserve to choose. Now, it's that I did well and should repay the family. Wang Xiumei sat down beside me, softening her tone. Ji Xia, don't misunderstand. Auntie is doing this for your own good. Law is so difficult. What if you can't find a job after graduation? A local teaching degree guarantees a stable job. Besides, your younger brother has his high school entrance exam next year, and the family can't do without you. I looked at her. What does Lin Hao's exam have to do with my college application? You're his older sister. An older sister is not a second mother. Wang Xiumei's face changed. Lin Hao shouted discontentedly. Who asked you to be my mom? Don't flatter yourself. I nodded. Perfect. I wasn't planning to be one either. Lin Jiangwo slammed the table. Lin Ji Xia. Just then, the class group chat exploded again. Someone posted a screenshot. Su Jianning's results were also out. Her Chinese score was temporarily withheld, with a note, under investigation for exam irregularities. The group was shocked. What's going on? How does Jia Ning have no score in Chinese? Could there really be something wrong with the ink spilling incident? A few minutes later, Su's mother posted on her moments. She said her daughter was maliciously reported by her deskmate. Her grades were temporarily withheld, and she was on the verge of a mental breakdown. She also said, is a child from an ordinary family supposed to be destroyed by someone with ulterior motives? When I saw the words, ordinary family, I almost laughed out loud. Su Jianing lives in a new district, with one parent working at a bank and the other running a tutoring center. Their version of ordinary is 3 times wealthier than my family. Soon, someone took a screenshot of Su's mother's moments and posted it on a local forum, with a glaring headline, a female college entrance exam candidate accidentally spilled ink and was reported by her deskmate, resulting in her Chinese score being temporarily withheld. Who will protect the kind-hearted child? The comments below began to ferment. Some called me malicious, Some said minor accidents are normal under the pressure of the college entrance exam, and some claimed that top students nowadays have dark hearts. Wang Xiumei saw the post and immediately frowned. Jixia, look, this has blown up again, why don't you just issue a statement saying you won't pursue it? After all, your grades are already out. I looked at her. My grades are out, so he doesn't have to take responsibility for his actions, leave some leeway for others. Did he leave me any when he splashed the ink? Wang Xiumei was at a loss for words, but Lin Jiangwo suddenly said, forget about that for now. When does the college application system open? I looked at him warily. Give me the account password. No, his face darkened. I'm your father, I should be the one helping you fill out your college application. You're still a minor. I became an adult a few days ago. The household registration book is with me. If the family doesn't give it to you, how are you going to register? My heart turned cold. It had finally come. I looked at him. Are you trying to withhold my documents? Lin Jiangwo said sternly. It's not confiscation, it's safekeeping. Once you figure out which school to apply for, the family will naturally give it back to you. Wang Xiumei chimed in from the side. Jixia, don't be stubborn, your father won't harm you. I laughed. Every time they harm me, they say they won't harm me. I stood up, went back to my room, and grabbed my backpack. Lin Jiangwo asked warily, what are you doing? I'm going out for a bit. Where to? The municipal admissions office. He slammed the table. How dare you? I turned to look at him. If you try to stop me from filling out my college application, I'll include it in the materials. What will I write? That a family member attempted to interfere with the college entrance exam application process and withheld the household registration booklet and related documents. His expression finally changed, because he cares about his reputation, more than he cares about me as his daughter. He fears others knowing what kind of father he really is. I pulled the door open. Behind me came Wang Xiumei's cold voice. Lin Jixia, don't forget, you still bear the surname Lin. I paused for a moment, then said, soon, I won't be living off that surname alone. When the door closed, I heard the sound of a cup shattering inside the room, but I didn't look back. I didn't go straight to the municipal admissions office. I went to my grandmother's house first. She lives in an old neighborhood on the west side of the city, where the stairwell walls are plastered with small ads. When she saw me, her eyes instantly turned red. My nose stung. She looked older than I remembered. In my past life, I always felt I had no face to see her, failing exams, working odd jobs, being squeezed dry by my family. Every single thing made me feel pathetic. Later, I came to understand that the ones who should truly feel ashamed weren't me, but those who stole my path. My grandmother pulled me inside, poured me a glass of water, and then took out an iron box from the deepest corner of the cabinet. The box was locked. Her hands trembling, she opened it. Inside were a bankbook, an old letter, and a photo of my mother when she was young. Your mother left this before she went away, my grandmother said. She knew your father couldn't be relied on, and she specifically said this money was only for your education. But later, when you asked about it a few times, I didn't give it to you. I opened the passbook. The amount wasn't huge, just over 86,000, but for a girl who had just finished her exams, it was the confidence that came with freedom. And then there was the letter, the one my mother wrote to me. The handwriting had faded a little. If one day no one has your back, remember, I want you to study, to go out into the world. Don't let yourself be trapped in someone else's temper. I stared at it for a long time, tears splashing onto the edge of the paper. My grandmother stroked my head and said, child, you've been wronged. Those words nearly broke me. I hadn't cried when my family scolded me, pressured me, or schemed against me, but my grandmother's simple, you've been wronged, finally made me feel like I wasn't made of iron. I gave her a brief account of what happened. After hearing it, my grandmother was so angry her hands trembled. They still want to keep your household registration booklet. Yeah, I'll go with you to the police station, to ask about the household register. If they won't give it, we'll get a certificate. Going to university isn't up to them. I nodded. That afternoon, I used my own phone number to relink the application system, and changed the password and security questions. The answers were all information only I knew, not my birthday, not my school, not my family's names. I wouldn't leave the key where they could guess it. Again, on the day the college application system opened, I went to an internet cafe, not because there was no computer at home, but because there were people at home. I didn't want to fight for my own life under their watchful eyes, but the moment I sat down, Lin Jiangwo called. I didn't answer. Then Wang Xiumei called. I didn't answer either. Then a text message popped up. Lin Jixia, come home immediately. The application must be discussed together. If you dare to fill it in recklessly, figure out the tuition yourself. The household registration book is at home. Don't think you can just walk away. I took a screenshot of the text message and saved it. Then I logged into the system. First choice, Provincial Capital University of Political Science and Law, experimental class in law. Second choice, Jiangnan University, Law. Third choice, East China Normal University, Sociology. All choices were out of town. Not a single one local. I checked 3 times and pressed submit. The system prompted for confirmation. I took a deep breath and clicked confirm. At that moment, it felt like a door had opened before me. Just as the submission was successful, the door of the internet cafe private room was slammed hard. Lin Jixia opened the door. It was Lin Jiangwo. My heart skipped a beat, but I wasn't panicked. I took a screenshot of the page, logged out, cleared the browsing history, and then opened the door. Lin Jiangwo stood outside, his face ashen. Wang Xiumei had also come along with Lin Hao, the whole family, 3 of them, looking fierce, as if they had come to catch a fugitive. What did you fill in? Lin Jiangwo asked. My choices. What did you fill in? Provincial capitals, political science and law. Wang Xiumei screamed. Are you crazy? That far away? What about your younger brother? I looked at Lin Hao. He wore a look of impatience, as if the biggest mistake in my college application was that it would be inconvenient for me to continue serving him. Does he have parents? Don't I? Wang Xiumei was trembling with anger. Lin Jiangwo raised his hand to pull me away. Take it down, change it immediately. I took a step back. There's still a revision period after submission, but I won't change it. You have to change it. You forced me to change my college entrance examination choices in public, and the surveillance cameras recorded everything. He froze in his movements. The internet cafe owner had already looked over, and a few people using the computers were craning their necks. Lin Jiangwo cared most about saving face, so he could only lower his voice and say, let's talk about it at home. I'm not going back. Then where else do you want to go? Grandma's house. Wang Xiumei sneered. Can your grandma support you for the rest of your life? I said, no need for a lifetime. Just until school starts is enough. Her face turned very grim. Lin Jiangwo suddenly said, fine, go ahead. If you dare leave with her today, don't ever call me your father again. I looked at him. In my past life, those words were my Achilles heel. Whenever he said, I don't want you, I would panic, apologize, compromise, and hand over my life in exchange for a single, you're sensible. But now, I just nodded. Okay. Lin Jiangwo was stunned. I said, from now on, I won't trouble you. His eyes widened, as if he didn't understand. Wang Xiumei was also stunned. Lin Hao muttered, what are you pretending for? In a couple of days, when you run out of money, you'll still have to come back. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and walked past them. When I reached the door, I stopped. Oh, by the way, I've already received the education fund my mother left for me. You don't need to worry about the tuition. Lin Jiangwo's face instantly changed. Wang Xiumei blurted out, wasn't that money supposed to be for? She cut herself off mid-sentence, but it was already too late. I turned to look at her. Give how? Good. What? Wang Xiumei's eyes darted away. Lin Jiangwo roared, stop trying to fish for information here. I took out my phone. No problem. I recorded that last sentence too. Wang Xiumei's face turned pale. I looked at them, and the last bit of warmth in my heart faded away. So they had known about that money all along. So she wasn't that. It was robbery. Su Jianning's final outcome came faster than the grade review. The day the municipal admissions office released the notice, I was hanging laundry on the balcony at my grandmother's house. My phone suddenly buzzed. Someone in the class group had shared a screenshot. Notice on the handling of the anomaly incident in the Chinese language exam at the 3rd High School Examination Center. I tapped to open it, and every word felt like a blow to my chest. The notice stated, during the Chinese language exam of the college entrance examination, examinee Su illegally brought an ink bottle unrelated to answering questions into the examination room and moved the item before the end of the exam, causing ink to spill and nearly contaminating the answer sheet of a neighboring examinee. After verification through surveillance, exam room records, and related witness materials, Su's actions constituted a disruption of exam order and an impact on exam fairness. In accordance with relevant regulations, Su's Chinese language exam score has been cancelled. The examination center school has been criticized in a circular for lax entry checks and delayed handling of the anomaly, and the responsible personnel have been dealt with accordingly. I stared at the line, Chinese language exam score has been cancelled. unable to move for a long time. It wasn't the wild joy of vengeance finally served, but a sobering clarity. This notice should have appeared in my past life, but it didn't, because I failed to protect my answer sheet, failed to preserve evidence, and no one was willing to hear me out. In this life, it has finally arrived. The class group chat fell silent for a few minutes. Then people started retracting messages. 1, 2, 3. Those who had called me scheming began to play dead. Someone messaged me privately, Lin Jixia, I'm sorry, I didn't know the full story before, I was deceived by Su Jianing too, don't take it to heart. I looked at those messages and didn't reply. Not every apology deserves to be accepted, especially from those who freely hurt others before the truth came out and then offered a flimsy sorry afterward. They aren't remorseful, they're just afraid of being seen on the wrong side. Soon, the local forum also turned around. Someone dug up Su's mother's earlier posts, someone compared the official notice's content, accusing her of deliberately stirring up drama. People started cursing Su Jianing, the college entrance exam version of schemes of a beauty. Su's mother deleted all her posts on Moments, but the screenshots had already spread far and wide. In the afternoon, the school hastily called a meeting for returning senior students, ostensibly to collect archive-related materials, but everyone knew it was actually to address the incident. I didn't want to go at first, but teacher Zhou called and said my file required my personal signature. I went. The auditorium was packed. As soon as I entered, the noise died down. Many people looked at me, some with guilt, some with curiosity, and some just eager for a spectacle. I walked through the crowd and sat in the last row. Su Jianing was also there. She sat in the front, looking much thinner. Her mother didn't come. She probably didn't dare to show her face in public anymore. Director Liu stood on the stage, looking haggard. He rambled on about learning lessons, standardizing procedures, and paying attention to mental health. Not a single apology. Then the school principal stepped up to the podium. The school apologizes to the affected candidates for the issues in exam venue management and subsequent communication during this abnormal exam incident. Everyone turned to look at me. I remained seated, unmoving. The principal continued, I also remind all students, exam fairness must not be compromised. Any reliance on luck is unacceptable. Su Jianing lowered her head, her shoulders trembling. In my past life, I might have softened, thinking she had already been punished, thinking we were classmates after all, and letting it go. But in this life, I won't. She didn't act on impulse. She had calculated my fate. After the meeting, teacher Zhou called me to his office. He handed me the file folder with a complicated expression on his face. Lin Jixia, I might have been a bit harsh with my words earlier. I took the file folder. He seemed surprised by my calm reaction. I was just worried that the situation might affect your grades. I looked up at him. Teacher Zhou, what affected my grades wasn't the investigation, it was the ink splashing. His face turned pale. I continued, the first thing you cared about was the school and Su Jianing. Not me, I remember that. His eyes were slightly red. I'm sorry, this time, I didn't say, it's okay, I just said, if a student encounters something like this again in the future, I hope the teacher will first ask if she's hurt, rather than asking if she can just let it go. Teacher Zhou lowered his head. I turned and walked away. At the stairwell, Su Jianing stopped me. She wasn't crying, her face pale, her eyes hollow. Lin Jixia, I'm finished. I looked at her. That was your own choice. Her voice trembled. You were clearly fine. I laughed. This was a line the mother and daughter had repeated too many times. You're fine, so my malice doesn't count as malice. You dodged, so the hand I pushed you with can be forgiven. You survived, so my murderous intent doesn't matter. I said, Su Jianing, I'm fine because I saved myself, not because you were kind. Her lips trembled. Why do you have to destroy me? Then why did you try to destroy me? She couldn't speak. I walked around her and went downstairs. Downstairs, Lin Jiangwo stood at the school gate. He was holding a bag of fruit, a forced smile on his face. Lin Jixia, I stopped in my tracks. He walked over, his voice unusually gentle. I heard the notice came out. You've been wronged. I was just anxious before. Wang Shumei stood not far away, forcing a smile as well. That's right, Jixia, we're all family. There's no such thing as an overnight grudge. I look at them. This scene is all too familiar. In my past life, when I was worthless, they pushed me out to work. In this life, after I got into a top university, they talk about family. I ask, what are you here for? Lin Jiangwo's smile stiffens for a moment. To take you home. Someone will need to receive your admission letter later. Wang Xiumei quickly adds, Auntie has tidied up your room, everything before was just a misunderstanding, don't take it to heart. I looked at her, so the education fund mom left me, you misunderstood that too. Her expression shifted. Lin Jiangwo immediately said, that's all in the past, but it's not something that can be simply written off now. I pulled a printed document from my backpack. This is a transcript of the recordings I compiled, including you forcing me to sign a letter of understanding, withholding my household registration, trying to interfere with my college application, and Wang Xiumei admitting she wanted to use the education fund mom left me for Lin Hao. Lin Jiangwo's face changed drastically. What do you want to do? I don't want to do anything. I'm just telling you, from today on, my documents, applications, and admission results will all be handled by me, don't interfere anymore. Wang Xiumei gritted her teeth. Lin Jixia, don't be too heartless. I looked at her. Heartless people have no right to fear others being clear-headed. After saying that, I turned and walked away. This time, no one behind dared to follow. The day the admission letter arrived, Grandma bought a small string of firecrackers. The old neighborhood didn't allow setting them off, so she hung them by the door for a look, then put them away with a smile, just for the festive feel. It's festive just to look at them. I held the red express delivery bag, my fingers trembling. Provincial Capital University of Political Science and Law, experimental law class. When I unfolded the letter, Grandma's tears suddenly fell. If your mother could see this, how happy she'd be. I cried too, but this time, it wasn't out of grievance. It was because I had finally walked out of that ink. Lin Jiangwo found out the admission letter had arrived on the third day. He called, but I didn't answer. He sent a text. Why didn't you have the admission letter sent home? Do you even see me as your father anymore? What kind of life is it for a girl like you to live outside? Come back before school starts. Relatives want to throw you a graduation banquet. After reading it, I simply replied, no. He called back quickly, and I answered. His voice was simmering with anger. Lin Jixia, what do you mean by that? You did so well in the exams. And if the family doesn't throw you a banquet, what will people think of me? I said calmly. I don't need people to think of you. I raised you so big. What's wrong with bringing honor to the family? Dad, are you trying to celebrate me getting into college, or are you hoping for relatives to give gifts? The other end of the line went silent. I knew I had hit the mark. Lin Hao was about to start high school, and the private school tuition was expensive. They had set their sights on the gift money from my college celebration banquet again. In my past life, it was the same. I worked, and Wang Xiumei threw me a dutiful child banquet. Relatives praised me for being filial and for helping lighten the family's burden, and she took all the gift money. I sat in the corner, like a tool with a price tag. In this life, they wanted to set up the same table, only swapping dutiful for glorious. Lin Jiangwo was furious and embarrassed. How can you think so badly of your own family? Because you're capable of doing it, Lin Jixia. I interrupted him. I won't hold a graduation banquet, nor will I accept any gift money from relatives. If you dare to hold one in my name, I'll make it clear in the family group chat. He was so furious his breathing grew heavy. Are you trying to cut ties with the family? I was silent for 2 seconds, then said, yes. There was complete silence on the other end of the line. I continued, I'm an adult now. From now on, I'll study and live on my own. Grandma is getting older, and I'll take care of her. As for you, Wang Xiumei, and Lin Hao, I will no longer bear any responsibilities beyond what the law requires. How dare you? I'm not asking for your permission. I hung up and blocked him. Then I posted the statement I had prepared earlier into the family group chat. No self-pity, no tearful pleas, just the facts. The irregularities at the college entrance exam hall, how I applied for an investigation, the family's pressure on me to sign a letter of forgiveness. My father and stepmother confiscated my household registration book and interfered with my college application. My mother's education savings were nearly misappropriated. The last sentence read, I, Lin Jixia, am now an adult and will handle all matters related to my further education on my own. Any banquets, collection of gifts, loans, or fundraising conducted in my name have nothing to do with me. The group exploded. My aunt was the first to ask, Jiangwo, what's going on? My uncle sent a voice message. The kid did so well on the exam, and you still want to block her college application. My grandmother also chimed in the group. From now on, I'll take care of Lin Jixia. The money her mother left behind will go entirely to her education, not a penny less. Those words were like a final verdict. Lin Jiangwo said nothing more, but Wang Xiumei did send a message, saying I was ungrateful, and that she had taken care of me all these years. It hadn't been easy. I directly posted the transcript of the recording she made at the internet cafe en trance. That money was supposed to go to Lin Hao. The group fell silent again. Wang Xiaomei had no time to retract her message. After that day, no one from home ever called me back again. Before the semester started, I went to the police station to inquire about household registration and went through the procedures to reissue my ID card, making sure all my documents were in my own hands. Grandma accompanied me to the bank to convert the education savings into a fixed deposit and a tuition account. She handed me the bank card and said, "There's not much money, spend it wisely." I held her hand and said, "It's enough, Grandma, really, it's enough." On the day I left for the provincial capital, Grandma saw me off at the station. She stuffed boiled eggs and oranges into my bag, along with a small packet of osmanthus candy. "Your mom loved this when she was little." I hugged her. "Grandma, I'll be back when school's out." She patted my back. "Don't be afraid, just keep moving forward." Before the ticket check, I saw Lin Jiangwo standing at the station entrance. He looked much older, and neither Wang Xiaomei nor Lin Hao was with him. When he saw me, he hurried over. Under the forest, I stopped. His eyes reddened. "Dad was wrong. In my past life, I waited over a decade for this sentence. Waiting until death without ever hearing it. Now that I've heard it, there's no satisfaction as I imagined. Only calmness." I asked, "What did I do wrong?" He froze, probably not expecting me to ask. "Dad shouldn't have pushed you." "What else?" "I shouldn't have listened to your aunt." I laughed. He was still the same. "The fault was always someone else's," I said. "You didn't listen to her, you just also thought I was someone who could be sacrificed." His face turned pale. "From now on, Dad will change. Please come home, okay?" I watched the people coming and going in the waiting hall, each dragging their luggage toward their own destination. I, too, had my own place now. I said, "I'm not going back." He grew anxious. "I'm your father. Blood ties can't be broken. Blood ties can't be broken, but expectations can." The announcement sounded. My train was boarding. I pulled up my suitcase. Lin Jiangwo reached out to grab me, but I stepped back. "This is the last time. I hope you won't come to school to find me anymore, won't use family ties to pressure me, and won't ask relatives about my life." His voice trembled. "Are you really that heartless?" I looked at him. "I'm just finally not being heartless to myself anymore." With that, I turned and entered the station. As the train started moving, I sat by the window. Lin Jiangwo on the platform grew smaller and smaller. He tapped on the window a few times, but the train had already left. I didn't pull open the curtain, because in this life, I won't look back. On the day of university registration, the sunlight was beautiful. The main campus avenue was lined with plane trees, and new students dragged their suitcases, their faces carrying nervous yet excited smiles. I stood at the law school's welcome booth, looking at the red banner that read, "Welcome, new students." The senior student asked for my name, and I said, "Lin Jixia." She checked my name off the list and handed me my campus card. "Welcome to the law school." I took that card. Small as it was, it felt like a new form of identity. Not someone's daughter, not someone's sister, not a girl who could be sacrificed for her family, but myself. For a long time afterward, I didn't contact Su Jianing again. I only heard about her occasionally from classmates. She repeated a year, but due to the disciplinary record and psychological pressure, she was in a terrible state. Her mother went around saying I had ruined her daughter, but no one believed it anymore. Teacher Zhou was later transferred from his position as head teacher. Director Liu was disciplined. The exam center school had its annual evaluation revoked. That year, none of these outcomes were earth-shattering, but they were real enough. In reality, fighting back often doesn't mean making the bad guys kneel and cry. It means taking away what they tried to steal, making it impossible for them to climb over others' lives. During the winter break of my freshman year, I volunteered at a legal aid center. On my first shift, a high school senior sat in front of me, clutching a stack of documents, her voice trembling. "Senior, I don't know what to do. The teacher told me to just let it go." I looked at her reddened eyes, like seeing a younger version of myself. I pushed a tissue toward her, then opened my laptop and created a new folder. "Don't rush. First, write down the timeline clearly. Remember this, don't just cry over your grievances, number them, back them up, and hand them over." The girls stared at me, stunned. I smiled. The sunlight outside fell on the desk, clean and bright. No ink, no shadows, just a path I had finally paved with my own hands. Of course, I returned to my alma mater that summer, not out of nostalgia, To be honest, I don't have much fondness for that school. It held the classroom where I stayed up late grinding through problem sets, and the desk that nearly swallowed my life. It held the teacher I once trusted most, and the adult who, when I needed protection the most, was the first to urge me to let it go. But the law school's summer social practice required us to give a campus legal awareness lecture. I chose protecting the rights of college entrance exam candidates, and the venue was my alma mater. When my grandmother heard about it, she was so worried she couldn't sleep all night. She asked me if going back would be painful. I paused while organizing my materials. Would it be painful? Of course it would, but if you spend your whole life avoiding certain places, they'll always remain a thorn stuck in your heart. I smiled and told my grandmother, no, I'm going to give a lecture now, not to beg anyone for justice. My grandmother's eyes reddened as she listened. She said, that's good. If your mother knew you were like this now, she would be at ease. I lowered my head and checked the lecture notes again. The title on the first page read, How to Protect Yourself When Encountering Anomalies During the College Entrance Exam. Below it were several bold lines. First, stay calm. Second, raise your hand promptly. Third, request documentation. Fourth, preserve evidence. Fifth, follow the formal appeal process. Sixth, do not accept private pressure. These words seem simple, but I know, for an 18-year-old student, being able to say any one of them in an exam room is not easy, because at that moment, she is not only facing a malicious act from her deskmate, but also the teacher's urging, the classmates' stares, the parents' reproach, the school's reputation, and that phrase she has heard since childhood. Just let it go. I was almost destroyed by those 3 words once, so I don't want other girls to only ever hear those 3 words. On the day of the lecture, the school auditorium was filled with junior and senior high school students. The principal personally welcomed me in. He looked a few years older than before, and his expression was a bit uneasy when he saw me. Lin Jixia, welcome back. I nodded. Hello, principal. He paused, then said, about what happened back then. The school feels deeply ashamed. I looked at him. If this had been said 3 years ago, I might have been stirred, might have felt sad, might have wanted to ask, then why didn't anyone step up back then? But now, I simply said calmly, I hope there won't be any need for shame in the future. The principal was taken aback for a moment, then nodded solemnly. There won't be. I stepped onto the podium as the lights shone down. Hundreds of eyes in the audience were fixed on me. They were so young that they reminded me of myself back then, sitting in the 3rd row by the aisle, always arranging my draft paper neatly, keeping 3 spare pens in my pencil case, checking my admission ticket 5 times. Back then, I thought that as long as I worked hard, I would win. But later I learned that hard work is important, but hard work alone isn't enough. You also have to learn to protect your efforts. I opened my mouth, but I didn't start with legal provisions. I just placed a blank answer sheet. The audience quieted down. I said, many years ago, a bottle of ink nearly ruined my college entrance exam. A slight stir rippled through the auditorium. Of course, they had heard about it. It had been circulating in the school for years. Some said I was that particularly tough senior. Some said I was the one who became famous for reporting my deskmate, and others said I was almost sent to an electronics factory by an accident. Rumors are always lighter than the truth, because rumors don't have to bear the consequences. I continued. 8 minutes before the papers were collected that day, my deskmate knocked over the ink, splashing it onto the area of my exam paper where I had written my essay. If my answer sheet had been contaminated, my essay might not have been readable. At the time, many people said, good thing you're okay. I paused, looking at the students below the stage. But students, you must remember, just because the victim is okay doesn't mean the perpetrator is not at fault. The auditorium suddenly fell into complete silence. I saw a few girls lift their heads. You dodged it. But that doesn't mean no one pushed you. You kept your belongings safe, but that doesn't mean others can shirk responsibility. You weren't destroyed, but that doesn't mean the malice didn't exist. Many times, we demand that victims be magnanimous, because she's still alive, because she's still standing, because she eventually got into college, but we rarely ask, what if she hadn't reacted in time? What if she had no evidence? What if her family had pressured her to let it go? What if she had truly been destroyed? No one in the audience spoke. I flipped to the next slide of the PPT. It was a flowchart, exam room incident handling procedure. I began explaining point by point. Raise your hand immediately in case of an emergency. Do not argue on your own. Ask the invigilator to confirm the status of your answer sheet. request that the incident be recorded in the exam room log. If it involves items, seating, or desk conditions, apply for photos or sealing. After the exam, write a written explanation as soon as possible, and keep records of WeChat messages, phone calls, and chat logs. If pressured privately by parents, classmates, or teachers, do not verbally compromise. All appeals must go through official channels. These points may not be thrilling or exciting, but they can save people. When it came to the Q&A session, a male student raised his hand. Senior, what if the other person really didn't mean it, but you insist on pursuing it? Could that ruin someone's life? When this question was raised, many people in the auditorium turned to look at me. I wasn't angry, because this was exactly what many others wanted to ask. I picked up the microphone and countered, if a person's life can be ruined by uncovering the truth, then what truly destroys it, the investigation, or the things they have done? The young man was stunned. I continued, we cannot demand that one person bear harm just because we are afraid of another facing the consequences. Fairness is not about protecting the one who seems more pitiful. Fairness is letting the facts speak. If he truly didn't do it intentionally, the investigation will clear his name. If he did it on purpose, the investigation will give me justice. So, those who fear an investigation are often not the innocent ones. Someone in the audience began to clap softly. The applause gradually grew. I didn't smile too brightly, because I knew this was not a victory speech. This was an experience I had earned with my life, and I finally had the chance to pass it on to someone else. After the lecture, a girl was waiting for me backstage. She was wearing a school uniform, her hair tied tightly, clutching a math error notebook in her hand. When she saw me, she bowed first and said, "Senior, what's wrong?" She hesitated for a long time before whispering, "I want to ask, what if my family won't let me go to college?" My heart sank slightly. As she spoke, her fingers kept picking at the edge of the error notebook. That kind of unease, I knew all too well. I asked her to sit down, and she told me, her grades were good, and she wanted to go to a university in another city, but her mother thought it was useless for a girl to go too far away and wanted her to attend a local vocational school, start working early, and help her brother buy a house. Her voice was very soft when she spoke, as if she didn't even dare to sound too aggrieved. I asked her, "Do you want to leave yourself?" She nodded, and tears suddenly fell. "Yes." I handed her a tissue. "Then put your documents away first, your ID card, admission ticket, bank card, and SIM card. Keep them in your own possession if you can. Bind your college application account to your own phone number, and don't use your birthday as the password. If you can contact relatives, teachers, the Community Women's Federation, or legal aid, save their contact information in advance." She stared at me blankly. "Senior, does this count as resistance?" "Yes." I thought resistance had to be brave. I looked at her and suddenly remembered myself sitting in the electronics factory dormitory many years ago. Back then, I also thought bravery meant having a big fight, slamming the door, and making everyone regret it. Later, I realized, true bravery is sometimes very quiet. It's taking your ID card out of the drawer, quietly backing up a recording, changing your college application password, and pressing confirm even when your hands are trembling. I said to her, "Courage isn't about not being afraid. Courage is when you're scared to death, yet you still know you can't back down." The girl cried even harder. I didn't rush her. When she calmed down a bit, I wrote down the contact information for the Legal Aid Center and sent the college application tips to her phone. Before she left, she turned back and asked me, "Senior, if I really do get out of here someday, would I be letting them down too much?" This question left me silent for a long time, because I had once asked myself the same thing. When I left my father, left that home, refused to pay for my younger brother's tutoring fees, refused to hold a graduation banquet, refused to be shackled by family ties. For a long time, I would wake up in the middle of the night in a panic. It wasn't regret, it was fear. Fear of being called cold-hearted, fear of truly being unfilial, fear that one day when my father grows old, everyone would point fingers at me. But later, I learned a saying in law school: rights and obligations cannot be borne by one person alone. The same goes for family bonds. If a family only demands your sacrifice but never protects you, only asks for your gratitude but never respects you, only says, "We're family," when you're useful, and tells you, "Stop making a fuss," when you're hurt, then what you're leaving is not a home, but a cage. I looked at that girl and said earnestly, a child wanting to study, wanting to escape oppression, wanting to live their own life, that is not letting anyone down. You're not leaving to hurt them, you're leaving to stop hurting yourself. She was stunned for a long time, then nodded firmly. At that moment, I suddenly understood why I had come back, not to prove that I had won, nor to see who regretted it, but because the version of me that was nearly destroyed by ink back then had finally become someone who could tell others, "You can protect yourself." As I left the school, I passed by that old classroom. The door was open, and new desks and chairs had been set up inside. Sunlight streamed in through the window by the wall, and the air smelled of chalk dust. I stood at the door for a long time. The desk that had been splattered with ink back then was long gone. Sue Jennings was gone too. The classmates who had cursed me had all gone their separate ways in life. My father later sent me a few messages, saying he was in poor health, saying he wanted to see me. I didn't completely ignore him. I fulfilled my legal obligations as required, but I no longer responded to his emotional blackmail. What he wanted wasn't care in old age, but to drag me back into the role of the dutiful daughter. But I would never go back. I walked into the classroom and stood beside the seat I once occupied. That scene replayed in my mind, the black ink spilling, me lifting my test paper, raising my hand to report. Those few seconds once changed my life, but looking back now, what I truly lifted was not just an answer sheet, it was a boundary, a clarity, a life where a girl finally decided she would no longer let anyone arbitrarily blacken it. As I walked out of the classroom, my phone buzzed, a message from that girl, Senior. On my way home just now, I put my ID card into my own backpack. There is only this one sentence. I stared at the screen and laughed for a long time. The summer wind blew in from the end of the corridor, rustling the countdown board for the college entrance exam on the wall. It read, 298 days until the college entrance exam. I suddenly felt, maybe the world won't get better overnight. The bad people won't just disappear, biased parents won't suddenly wake up, and cowardly teachers may not become brave right away, but as long as there is one girl who learns to raise her hand, one girl who learns to preserve evidence, one girl who puts her own documents into her backpack, then that bottle of ink won't always spill onto their lives. And I have finally made peace with my past self, not by forgiving those who hurt me, but by thanking the version of me who, at the most dangerous moment, was trembling with fear yet still lifted that paper. She saved not only the 18-year-old Lin Jixia, but also countless girls who would no longer remain silent. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.